Hello everyone, welcome to the top 10 Game Boy Advance RPGs. With so many fantastic RPG titles featuring absorbing storylines and complex battle systems, it's no surprise many of us spent hours on the living room sofa looking at that tiny screen. Many of you will be familiar with the following titles, though some of you may be coming to them for the very first time. Here are some of the most incredible RPGs to play on this classic handheld. Onwards to number 10. Lunar Legend kickstarts this list of the best Game Boy Advance RPGs. If you're into the classic, turn-based RPG gameplay, then Lunar Legend is something you can't ignore. Lunar Legend sees the events of the Silver Star retold in a different way, which featured a profoundly engrossing storyline that justifies playing the game even if you're not a fan of the genre. This features all the original characters from the first game with new features and wonderful visuals. While the game's graphics and gameplay remain primarily unchanged, Lunar Legend does add a critical system to combat, which helps spice things up in such a true-to-form turn-based RPG. Final Fantasy I and II, Dawn of Souls, takes the 9th spot in this list. This compilation in the Game Boy Advance is one of the best ways to experience the first two installments in Square's Final Fantasy series. Though it's not as complex or attractive as other Game Boy Advance RPGs, it still maintains the most important element needed towards becoming an awesome video game. It's fun, plain, and simple. Both games in the collection boast several new dungeons and new enemies and, as expected, are more difficult to fight through than the other sections of the games. The mechanics are smooth for the Game Boy Advance, and you can save anytime you like, no tense needed. This is way easier than the NES version. Perfect for those who want to experience their stories but not so much the difficulty. Megaman Battle Network takes the 8th spot in this list. In this game, you play as Lan and his Net Navi friend, Megaman, and you work as a team to progress the story. The battle system is pretty neat because instead of building XP, you install programs to level up. You battle on grids, with your team on one side and the enemies on the other. And even though it's a new school Megaman game, we still get appearances from Roll, Protoman, and Gutsman, among others. The mix between traditional RPG and standard Mega Man element really pays off in the end, making this a great game to start the series with. Next up is Sword of Mana, an action RPG made by Square. Square Enix's Mana series is among the most prolific RPG franchises around, as well as one of the most long-lived. This remake of the first game in the franchise lets players experience the title that started it all without the hassles of obsolete systems. Players follow a hero or heroine through on an epic quest through richly textured levels in a world to defeat the Dark Lord and save the Mana Tree. The hack-and-slash combat is also easy to grasp but manages to remain challenging far into the game. While the plot is a little basic and the idea isn't new, the game itself is great fun to play. Riviera: The Promised Land takes the 6th spot in this list. This is an unusual turn-based RPG that differentiates itself from others with its unique art style and captivating and fully-fledged storyline, which is a rare thing in an RPG game like this. Riviera boasts 6 characters to choose from, each with their own qualities, characteristics, and mysterious backstories that make them unique. One of the game's most interesting aspects is that it works as a sort of dating sim, where the main character can choose to woo anyone in his harem of party members by spending time with them and meeting specific criteria. There's also a port on the PSP with enhanced graphics and full voice acting. But if you're in it for the gameplay, this is just as good. Next up is Summon Night, Swordcraft Story. Swordcraft Story is a spin-off of the main Summon Night series focusing on weapon crafting from both a gameplay and narrative perspective. The story isn't groundbreaking, but it's a classic coming-of-age story that's sure to entertain even younger audiences. It also lets players choose between a male and a female protagonist, which is always cool. Keep in mind that a sharp mind or grindy tendencies won't be enough to get through this action RPG. You'll also have to develop reflexes and learn to make your way around the 2D battle arenas. Mario & Luigi, Superstar Saga, takes the 4th spot in this list. This game delivers a fast-paced, action-packed experience unlike anything in the genre, and the story is fun and interesting. What makes this game so exciting is the difficulty of the enemies. Seeing Mario and Luigi working together to pull off Crazy Brothers moves is more than worth the second-hand retail price of this title. While it can get pretty challenging, the game doesn't expect you to spend hours upon hours battling the same damaged sponge enemies. Instead, you're meant to focus on exploration and puzzle solving with a variety of tools. It's an excellent entry point to the classic RPG genre for anyone who's not used to them, and even if that doesn't click, it's still full of minigames and other activities that make for a fun time. Next up is Mother 3. Some of you might already know that this is the same series as Earthbound, though it's called Mother in Japan. Mother 3 is the third title in the series. It released in 2006 after 12 years of development work. It is an excellent game, with deep emotional plot, crazy comedic aspects, and an excellent battle system. This isn't a game about some kid's mother cooking tea or doing the school run. It's an epic adventure featuring Lucas, a child with psychic powers that some of you may have used on Smash Bros. Ultimate alongside Ness. The exploration of the loss of a mother theme is handled amazingly well, though the plot twists and humor can serve to somewhat undercut the game's more serious aspects. Final Fantasy VI takes the second spot in this list. This masterpiece of the RPG genre only improved with this Game Boy Advance release, which includes a couple of new areas like the Dragon's Den dungeon, new espers, and slightly upgraded graphics. Back when it first came out, it was revolutionary, taking everything that had worked on the previous games and even other franchises and polishing it to a mirror sheen. Part of what made it so impressive at the time is the depth of its characters and the dramas, use of chemical weapons in warfare, and life under a military dictatorship. Rather than focusing on one protagonist, Final Fantasy VI feels like a group story and how their stories connected to the plot. And while the Game Boy Advance port might not come with any slick videos or crisp cutscenes to watch, it's still the best port for overall gameplay and player satisfaction. Golden Sun and its sequel Golden Sun 2, The Lost Age, take the joint top prize in this list. These traditional turn-based RPGs proved there was a market for incredibly deep and expansive storylines. The game's story is so long that it was split up into 2 games. Both games must be played in succession in order to fully grasp what's going on. The graphics were pristine for the time, and these games really cater to old and new RPG fans alike. You travel around, talk to the villagers, and piece together the clues to complete quests and engage in fun combat, and you get to use a combo of both physical and magical attacks. There's also a unique Jin system, a creature you can attach to yourself to enhance your offense and defense. It backs up fantastic narrative with striking visuals, including dynamic sprite-based cutscenes and flashy battles. These games bring pure fantasy to your fingertips. So, these are my top 10 Game Boy Advance RPGs. What are your favorite Game Boy Advance RPGs? Let me know in the comment section. And also, if you liked this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.